What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm here with the lore of Fate Grand Order, Atlantis, right? By I think it was Taku Daikun or something like that. Wait, let me see. Here, yeah, like his name, yeah, Taku Daikun. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking at this today, and yeah, I don't know if you guys already seen it in the title already, but yeah, basically I'm gonna put this into three parts since it is an hour and 13 minutes basically now here, right? And I'm gonna try and do like, 20 minutes or so each part. And yeah, don't worry, I'll try and look at as much story as I can, right, before, end it off. And it might be even two parts, right? I might do probably 30 minutes one part, 30 minutes the other, but yeah, I'm gonna try and do like 20 minutes per part since you guys did want me to react to this, right? Because yeah, I would have actually looked at this myself, and then just looked at parts of it myself, right? Um, but yeah, here we are. So yeah, I'm gonna just start it off right here. So hope you guys will enjoy this. Make sure to like, subscribe, and yeah, let's get this reaction started.
Brand new whip, got no keys. Tell them my clothes, no starch, please. Soon as you can go leave. Got M's in the bank like yes, indeed. Cartier glasses, I won't even peek at you. Yellow Ferrari like Pikachu. I got him waiting and watching what he gon' do. Tryna pee what I do, tryna steal my move. 2500 for a new pair of tennis shoes, the same price.
Okay,
Welcome
so
back to Otaku Daiku.
here we go.
It's time to cover the extensive lore of Fate Grand Order's Lost Belt 5.1, Atlantis.
Okay, oh yeah, 5.1.
Alea, after powering up the Shadow Border and integrating it with Captain Nemo's ship, the Nautilus, is finally capable of taking on what is thought to be the most intimidating Lost Belt of them all. I've got to warn you all right now, though. This Lost Belt is a sensory overload. Nasu's been watching way too much History Channel, because instead of basing his story on, actual history or mythology, suddenly everything's caused by aliens.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. To understand what the hell is happening in Atlantis, you've got to be comfortable with the fact that the Nasuverse officially incorporates at least 3 different kinds of alien species. Technically there are 4, as we could definitely make the argument that outer gods like Cthulhu and such are a kind of alien. They come from beyond, through some interdimensional shenanigans humans can't possibly comprehend. That's what makes them eldritch abominations. I'm glad to say that outer gods and foreigners don't play a role in this chapter, though. Another kind of alien we should be pretty familiar with by now is the alien god. You know, the supposed final boss of this whole Lost Belt ordeal.
Yeah, I don't know who that
Our
is.
boy David Blue
Okay.
Book, who's finally made it to Area 51, the only place on Earth
Oh wait,
not affected
yeah,
by bleaching.
literally area.
The guy's
Okay.
literally starving to death, but makes it
Oh
his
wait, hold
mission
on. Let me real quick. Yeah, let me see what this is saying. Before he continues, was he even?
Area
Okay.
51, the only
I just wanted to see what it says. Why did humanity die out? Why did these aliens invaders?
Place on
Oh, so
Earth
literally
not
alien.
affected by
Okay.
bleaching.
Let's see. Heart is racing. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to see what they're saying though.
But makes it
Let's see. Arrived at the U.S. Air Force Base, once known as.
his mission to get to the bottom of this before he
Okay.
keels over. He reaches the inner levels of the lab and confirms what I've mentioned before, that some kind of plant-like alien indeed crash-landed on Earth. Humans found it and, to study every possible aspect of this creature, tortured the ever-loving shit out of it. This whole time, it's been sending out a distress signal of sorts, which is likely what caused the big bad alien god to come to Earth in the first place. So who knows? Maybe we deserved it. At the very least, these researchers did. This segment ends when Blue Book finally enters the room where the specimen was located, only to find a mysterious man expecting him.
Okay, already,
With a gun
yeah.
in hand,
Yep,
the
at the
man shoots
gun.
David Blue Book,
Okay.
leaving us on a cliffhanger. So yeah, that's another type of alien. But wait, there's more. This Lost Belt pits us up against the Greek gods in their true form, as machines from another universe. I'm sure you've heard the phrase Deus Ex Machina, God of the Machine. Well, Nasu's taking it literally. That's right.
Okay,
In
so yeah,
Fate, the Greek
that's
gods
yeah. I
aren't
think that's the
actually
thing that they
traditional
shot the
gods
arrows
from
up
human
at,
worship like we're
right?
used to. In fact, they never were. Instead, the Greek gods came to Earth after a long journey that started with a different race of aliens in a universe different from our own. These aliens were on the verge of extinction and wanted to travel somewhere they could preserve themselves. To make this journey, they built an ark.
Kind of looks like an
Massive,
eyeball right
intelligent
there, like
mothership
in the
known as
middle.
Chaos. tasked Chaos with delivering them to a new planet to inhabit, but wound up going extinct before actually embarking on this journey. Regardless, Chaos set out to accomplish its primary directive, seeking out a sustainable planet even without anyone to deliver. It wandered the cosmos, and must have realized that such a planet didn't exist in its own universe, and so it sought to enter ours. Problem is, between our two universes, there's this barrier called the Tannenhauser boundary, and Chaos was unable to get through. The only way for it to successfully pass through the boundary was to give up 97% of its functionality and partition that remaining 3% into a fleet of smaller, independent ships that could slip through to our universe.
Okay.
Thus, the fleet continued the journey, leaving Chaos behind. These smaller machines were known as the Titans, and as they explored our universe for signs of life, they were capable of reproducing. At first, the fleet was led by the flagship Uranus, but was quickly replaced by his son Kronos, this being Kronos the Father Titan, not Kronos the God of Time. Mythology is crazy, isn't it? The Titan fleet eventually created child machines known as the 12 Olympians: Zeus, Aphrodite, Apollo, Ares, Artemis, Athena, Demeter, Hades, Hephaestus, Hera, Hestia, and Poseidon.
Okay, a lot of names there.
The Titan Kronos was a cruel and incompetent god, leading his son Zeus to rebel against him. In fate, Zeus and the Olympians rebel over a different issue: Earth. The fleet came across Earth and found it to be a decent match for their directive. It wasn't a perfect match, however, leading the machines to conflict. The Titans wanted to extract Earth's resources and continue the journey, whereas the Olympians wanted Earth to be their final destination. As a result, the two groups fought in a conflict called the Titanomachia, in which Zeus and the Olympians destroyed all of the Titan ships. The 12 Olympians then landed on Earth, and in exchange for making it their new home, they made a contract with the planet's will, Gaia, becoming divine spirits of the planet. There, they met prehistoric humans who worshipped them as machine gods. In exchange for that worship, the Olympians gifted humanity civilization. In general, the Olympians had their main mechanical bodies called Aletheia, but to interact with Earthlings, they released humanoid terminals, and it's those terminals we're used to seeing in Fate.
See, I never seen her before, or her as well, okay.
With a large rack, and not some freaky orbital space laser. The reason we never see any of these mecha bodies in proper human history is because they were all wiped out in another conflict called the Leucosmachia. This is where I want you to grab your tinfoil hats and conceive of yet another type of alien.
Okay.
Velber, the Umbral Star, is an enemy force within the game Fate Extella that travels the universe recording and then wiping out any civilized life it finds. In the year 12,000 BC, Velber found Earth and unleashed a white titan we call Sephar to annihilate humanity. Don't confuse the term white titan here with the Greek titans I mentioned prior. This titan was literally a glowing white giant that nearly destroyed the planet. Turns out, this invasion wasn't just something that happened in the extra games, worlds featuring the moon cell. Sephar invaded in proper human history as well, but was ultimately defeated by the light of Excalibur. Sephar's corpse would eventually reincarnate as Altera, or Attila the Hun. Humanity survived the attack, but during the battle, Sephar destroyed all of the gods' machine bodies, leaving only their humanoid terminals behind. So yeah, these gods were always machines. We just couldn't tell because their true forms were demolished long ago. By spending time with humans in a similar form, the Greek gods then became far more human-like. Of course, this Lost Belt doesn't follow proper human history. This Atlantis Lost Belt takes place in an alternate history where, instead of being destroyed in the conflict with Sephar, Zeus took matters into his own hands, fusing with the other Olympians to defeat
Taking it
Sephar
to his
with their
own
mech bodies
hands.
still intact. As such, in this Lost Belt, the gods are still mechanized, though they can also release terminals whenever necessary. Defeating Sephar in this manner was not a one-and-done affair, however. While being destroyed, Sephar left behind remnants called the Gygas. The machine god's efforts to slay these remnants became known as the Gigantomachia, and after it, these gods refined what it meant to be gods in the first place. You see, normally, gods or divine spirits gain authority from the belief humans bestow upon them. Thus, as humans began to depend on the gods less in favor of modern technology, the age of gods came to an end.
Oh, okay.
This doesn't apply to the Aletheia, or machine gods, though. Instead, their divine authority is spread in the form of nanomachines called Clearinomia, granting those that consume them unique powers. Not being tied down to human worship, the machine gods had the power to continue the Age of Gods by asserting their dominance over humanity. That said, there was controversy over whether they should even do that. They could, just as easily, choose to live among humans in a manner closer to proper human history. As such, a civil war known as the Olympiomachia broke out between the two factions that disagreed over which path to follow. Zeus, hoping to preserve the Age of Gods, took control of Demeter, Aphrodite, Hera, and Artemis, using them to form an administration faction that fought against Hephaestus, Hades, Athena, Apollo, Hestia, Ares, and Poseidon, who made up the Coexistence faction. This war involved both the gods and their devoted human worshippers, but in the end, it was Zeus's faction that won. It wasn't a clean victory, however. Hades, refusing to let Zeus control him, self-destructed, thereby blocking Zeus off from certain parts of Olympus. Athena, Apollo, Hestia, Ares, and Hephaestus were all mostly destroyed, with their mechanical bodies broken and scattered across the seas of Atlantis. Despite this, Hephaestus was able to preserve his consciousness in a terminal shrine installed on one of the islands, and other shrines throughout Atlantis were used to dispense more of the gods' different Clearinomia. In the aftermath, Zeus remained in Olympus, which you'd expect to be a city floating among the clouds. In actuality, though, this Lost Belt's Olympus is a subterranean city that can only be accessed through a giant hole in the Atlantic Ocean. Poseidon, despite fighting against Zeus in the war, managed to survive with his Aletheia body intact. Zeus decided to punish him by reprogramming him to serve as the Big Hole's defense mechanism. All the humans who sided with the Coexistence faction were exiled from Olympus and forced to live among the islands that make up Atlantis. As a result, we don't yet have a
wait, hold on. Let me pause this real quick. So, yeah, if I'm not talking as much, because I know I'm not talking at all, really. That's just because I'm really trying to understand, because this is a whole hour, right? I know I can, basically find a summary of it, somewhere else, right? And basically, refresh myself, but yeah, right now it seems like he's really going over, like, yeah, the beginning, right? All the gods and all that, right? And basically, yeah, I think that really would be important to listen to as well, right? Just so I can understand the story afterwards, right? The story that I know, with Orida and Paris and all that, right? And then the other ones, right? The Argonauts, right? But yeah, let's
what the current state of Olympus
continue
looks like.
here.
If we're to go by Plato's writings on the legend of Atlantis, it was thought to be a kingdom that, after growing powerful, fell to its own hubris, being buried beneath the sea by a series of floods and earthquakes. This is supposedly how the Atlanteans became a lost civilization. However, in this Lost Belt, the residents of Atlantis are still very much alive, living not just on a single island, but rather a series of islands named after the gods and their demigod children, such as Heracles. Instead of fearing the gods, the Atlanteans are blessed by Clearinomia, which is what allows them to live strong for hundreds and thousands of years. As exiles from Olympus, their day-to-day lives have no value. Like the other Lost Belt civilizations prior, the Atlanteans have fallen into stagnation, which is likely why this timeline was selected for pruning. Thanks to the alien god and its fantasy tree Magellan, however, the Lost Belt is thriving more than any other. Despite being the cryptor of this Lost Belt, Kirstaria still remains very much a mystery to us. It's clear that he's in cahoots with the Lost Belt's king, Zeus, and still vows to be fighting proper human history as a means of restoring the Age of Gods. It's important to remember that the alien god chose him and him alone to carry out its invasion, and the other cryptors only survived because he asked to have his entire team resurrected when they were killed in their coffins. This implies he's the strongest, or certainly the most important cryptor of the bunch, and we can see this from his own history. The Wodim family goes back thousands of years, and has maintained a strong bloodline for producing mages. Kirstaria took this even further, being such a child prodigy that his own father felt jealous of and threatened by his talent. This led to his father trying to have him assassinated during his teens. The attempt failed, but it did permanently damage his magic circuits.
Oh yeah, the magic circuits. Yeah, I know about
Kirstaria
that.
is still an elite among mages.
Okay.
He was a star at the clock tower, studying in the field of astromancy, a primordial form of magecraft that ultimately led to both astronomy and astrology. Considering astromancy is primarily dominated by the Animasphere family, Kirstaria became one of Marisbury's greatest pupils. He learned Animasphere techniques that go back to when the Chaldeans first began to read the stars, which, surprisingly, predates even the Age of Gods. One could very well argue that this form of magecraft is the strongest that humans can ever hope to wield, as it involves controlling the planets, the heavens themselves, to align as an enormous magic circuit, drawing upon mana on a celestial level. As awesome as that is, actually harnessing such power is no longer possible. Astromancy in its earliest, most dangerous state was established during the Age of Gods when the heavens themselves held a divine power. It was a separate texture of reality. The modern era no longer has the conditions to allow Kirstaria to fully utilize what he learned. In this lost belt, however, the Age of Gods remains as strong as ever, enabling him, a mere human, to stand on the same level as the gods.
A mere human.
His ultimate spell, Grand Order, Animasphere,
Oh,
uses
okay.
a celestial
Grand
magic
Order.
circuit to rain meteors down on his enemies. It's impressive enough to make Zeus acknowledge him as an equal. As if that weren't OP enough, Kirstaria has not one, but 3 divine spirits as his servants. The first one is someone we've encountered many times before.
Okay, basically
Canis
3
is a
servants.
servant
Okay.
from proper human history that reluctantly served Kirstaria after losing a fight to him fair and square. Her legend is as a Greek hero, one of Jason's famed Argonauts. She was one of the strongest and most beautiful women in Thessaly,
yeah, I
but
do know
encountered
about Jason
profound
too.
shame when she was violated by Poseidon. Never wanting to go through such an experience ever again, Canis asked Poseidon to make her into a powerful man. Receiving his blessing, she presumably did become a man, at least until the time of her death. Some accounts say a female corpse was left behind when, as she died, she transformed into a bird with golden wings and flew off into the skies. As a servant, she's in her female form, making her contemplate why she was summoned in the body she denied in life. Regardless, she's a mighty warrior with an aggressive temperament, priding herself on her combat prowess. She loathes the gods, especially Poseidon, making his
Yeah, I can
blessing
tell
all the
that,
more
yeah.
ironic. Her power is linked to Poseidon, allowing her to speed across the Atlantic Ocean on foot, as it's his domain. Kirstaria's other servant is Dioscuri, a pair of twins inhabiting a single Saint Craft. This is because the two of them share such an inseparable bond that they were both immortalized in the constellation Gemini. In proper history, these siblings were known as Castor and Pollux, children born from Leda, the queen of Sparta,
So
after
Castor
being
and
seduced by
Pollux.
Zeus in the form of a swan. This would have made them both demigods, but in at least one version of their legend, Castor was born as a mortal, actually fathered by the human Tyndareus who slept with Leda that very same night. Because of this, Castor felt robbed of his place among the gods, and trained hard as a student of Chiron, alongside such heroes as Heracles, Achilles, and Jason. Pollux, with her immortal body, became a talented swordsman. Despite being half-siblings, the two went on all of their adventures together, participating in the hunt for the Caledonian boar,
So I'm
and
guessing
even joining the
this is
Argonauts
like
on their
what,
quest for the
two
Golden
two
Fleece.
servants in one, I guess.
The Dioscuri we see
'Cause
in
I'm
this
guessing, yeah,
chapter,
we still got
however,
one
is
more.
not their version from proper human history, but rather the actual twins who thrived in the Lost Belt. Kirstaria killed them, allowing them to become heroic spirits that he
okay.
immediately summoned to serve him afterward. This process let Castor and Pollux inherit their memories from proper human history, and with them, they developed a hatred for humanity based on Castor's humiliation. As such, they are absolutely loyal to the machine gods, and Kirstaria who stands equal among the gods. In addition, Kirstaria is prepared to summon a third divine spirit as a countermeasure against the alien
Okay,
god,
so yeah, the
considering
third
he
one?
doesn't fully trust it. We'll leave discussing that for the actual Olympus chapter.
Oh, okay.
Considering this
Yeah,
is the biggest
don't get to
Lost
see
Belt
him.
so far, it seems the Counterforce has tried to step up its game. Well before we arrive, the Counterforce summoned a small army of servants that decided to do whatever they could to prepare for Chaldea's arrival. The vast majority of them made their way towards Olympus, but only a handful entered the city alive. An even smaller amount of them were actually able to take refuge in Olympus, since Kirstaria was waiting for them. With his astromancy, he's more than strong enough to decimate servants, a feat that would otherwise be impossible. Regardless, some of them were able to reach Olympus, and are waiting for Chaldea to join them. So far, we know that at least Medea Lily and Sakata Kintoki made it alive, because we see them in hologram transmissions later on. Of course, getting to Olympus is no easy feat, as Atlantis is incredibly dangerous as is. To help Chaldea with that endeavor, a handful of these free servants were asked to stay behind, and had select memories erased so that the enemy couldn't use them to uncover the servants hiding in Olympus. Turns out, we'll need all the help we can get. I mentioned before that Poseidon is guarding the entrance to Olympus, the big hole in the center of the ocean. From above, we've also got to worry about the machine god Artemis, who's floating
Okay,
above
oh
the
yeah,
planet
Artemis,
and can
okay.
blast down devastating
Yeah, I
beams
kept
of
forgetting,
energy
I'm like,
capable of wiping
was
out
that
entire islands
Artemis
at a
or
time.
someone else
It
Artemis,
is her noble
right?
phantasm, shooting star Ortygia, and it nearly wiped out all the servants before they could even reach Olympus.
Okay.
But among them, Jason and his Argonaut Heracles were around to save the day. We met both of these guys
Okay.
before, during the Okeanos singularity. There, Jason was our enemy, and even though the guy has a bad reputation
Oh,
for
so
all the
that's,
turmoil he put Medea through,
Jason
he
right
is still
there.
considered a formidable hero within Greek legend. After all, he was trained by the centaur Cheiron I mentioned earlier. His journeys across the sea in his ship, the Argo, were part of his quest to become the king of Iolcus after King Peleus usurped the throne from his father. During his mission to obtain the Golden Fleece, he was unaware of how the goddess Aphrodite brainwashed Medea into loving him. As such, Medea's devotion came off as obsessed and unhinged. He feared her as a witch, and his treatment of her resulted in his ultimate downfall. Even so, Jason was a talented captain, gathering many famous heroes on his ship, and Heracles was among them. This time summoned by the Counterforce, he and Heracles fought to help humanity, and not for their own self-interests. In fact, Jason still remembers his misdeeds in Okeanos, feeling ashamed and embarrassed by his actions. When Artemis fired her orbital laser at the Argo, Heracles sacrificed himself, using all 12 of his lives to endure the blast.
All 12?
Jason considered Heracles one of the strongest
Okay.
heroes, and a dear friend, so watching this great demigod get laser fried killed his morale. As such, he became one of the servants to stay behind on Atlantis, drinking away his sorrows at a pub run by Francis Drake. That's right, Francis Drake was also
Okay, so
summoned
Francis
here by the
Drake.
Counterforce. We met her way back in Okeanos as well, where she stole a friggin' holy grail from Poseidon as part of a 7-day voyage. Turns out, she's just as much a badass here. Poseidon's mecha body is protected by a barrier, reinforced by 4 divine cores. Drake, aboard her ship, the Golden Hind, battled Poseidon and made out with one of his divine cores before being hit with a deadly curse. Thanks to this curse, she can no longer sail the ocean without it killing her, so she hangs around feeding Jason's drinking habit. While we have to worry about divine threats from both above and below, we must also contend with a third enemy, Odysseus. In proper human history, Odysseus was the great strategist in the Trojan War, who came up with the Trojan horse that brought the war to its conclusion. He's most famous for the epic poem The Odyssey, which chronicles his harrowing journey back to Ithaca to reunite with his wife Penelope. His hubris angered Poseidon, who in turn made the voyage more treacherous.
Oh, that's... Wait, hold up. So that's who it is. Okay. Because, yeah, like, ever since I first started looking at Fate, and generally, you know, all those AMVs, he's, like, the first person, well, that I can remember mostly, right? Him and Orion are the ones that I remember the most seeing, right? When I first started off. So, okay, that's him. Okay.
Who in turn made the voyage more treacherous. Sailing from island to island, Odysseus faced challenges including a carnivorous Cyclops, the witch Circe who turned his men into swine, and the multi-headed monster Scylla. The Odysseus living in this lost belt achieved none of these feats, and instead patrolled the Atlantic Ocean as commander of the Atlantis Defense Forces. He fought for the machine gods, never getting the chance to even meet Penelope. Surprisingly, in addition to this Lost Belts Odysseus, the Counterforce also summoned our Odysseus from proper human history. The two of them met and fought during the servants' attempt to reach Olympus, but it was the Lost Belt Odysseus who emerged victorious. After defeating his servant form, he absorbed many of his memories from proper human history, but was specifically denied memories about Penelope. As a result,
so not
he
even
knows all
was it
about
his own wife,
counterpart's
right?
journey, but not what truly fueled his determination. In other words, this Odysseus is an asshole. After the initial surge of Counterforce servants, the Lost Belt Odysseus went to purge Atlantis of the
Dang,
various
okay.
mana ley lines Chaldea
A
often
lot of
uses to
blood
summon
there.
servants. To deplete the ley lines of their mana, he would summon his own servants, and in one of these cases, he wound up summoning the heroic spirit, Charlotte Corday. Charlotte was a humble woman living in a convent during the
Okay,
latter
yeah,
part
Charlotte,
of the
yeah.
French Revolution.
Definitely want to know her
After
story,
observing
right?
all the death and sorrow the revolution caused, she naively thought to end the fighting by assassinating Jean-Paul Marat, a key figure in the violence. Some considered him to be the ringleader of France's turmoil, so she set out with a reckless plan to kill him. Legendarily, it's this naivete that actually allowed her to succeed. Nobody in a million years would have suspected a sweet, innocent woman like her to commit murder. And by underestimating her, they actually allowed her to
Oh
commit
yeah,
the
what's
act in
that?
plain sight.
Yeah, Angel or
After the deed,
whatever
she
that
was
is.
executed on the guillotine
Next
by
to her,
Charles
right?
Henri Sanson, going down in history as the angel of assassination. In some sense, her victory was a fluke, not something emerging from her talent as a warrior. Thus, when Odysseus summoned her, he used some of Zeus's Cleronomia, you know, the nanomachines, to enhance her physically. This was less to make her into a fighter, and more a means of keeping her in check. Odysseus thought that, at best, Charlotte could be used as a sacrificial pawn in defeating Chaldea from the inside. He tasked her with finding Chaldea and ultimately betraying them. I've mentioned Cheiron a number of times now, so now's a good time to state that, much like Odysseus, Cheiron is also a natural resident of this lost belt. In proper human history, Cheiron was a centaur sage blessed with immortality from his divine parents. He instructed many of Greece's most famous heroes, but ultimately met a tragic end. Cheiron tried to intervene in a fight between Heracles and his fellow centaurs, and was accidentally shot by an arrow dipped in hydra venom. The poison caused him such intense agony that he begged to be released from his immortality. He gave up his divine status to finally die in peace, and to mourn his passing, Zeus inscribed him into the night sky as the constellation Sagittarius. The Cheiron in this lost belt, however, did not give up his divinity, and works alongside Odysseus in the Atlantis Defense Forces. He too wound up encountering his servant self from proper human history, and winning to absorb the other's memories. This allows Lost Belt Cheiron to use the noble phantasm Antares Snipe that would otherwise be exclusive to his servant form. There are other servants that the Counterforce summoned, but we'll talk about them as we encounter them. One we can't really put off, though, is Orion.
Okay. Oh, Orion. Okay.
Super Orion.
Yeah, I always call him Orion.
Introduced Orion
Okay,
back
so
in Okeanos,
Orion.
But that version was a special case. For all intents and purposes, that perverted teddy bear version was more of a servant form
Yeah,
of Artemis
definitely
hijacking Orion than it was
something
a
going on with
legitimate
that teddy bear.
incarnation of the famed hunter. Turns out, in Artemis's absence, Orion isn't just an amazing archer servant, he's also a grand
Oh,
archer.
yeah, so yeah,
one of the
archer,
elite
yeah.
servants
Oh,
the
and
Counterforce tasks with slaying beasts of humanity.
Grand
As such,
Archer, okay.
He's here on a very important mission, but prioritizes a more personal matter first. In proper human history, Orion was a demigod born from Poseidon and a human named Uriel. He was a brilliant hunter who caught the eye of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. The two fell in love, and rumor of their marriage spread to Artemis's brother, the sun god Apollo. He opposed their romance, a judgment that could have been resolved if only Orion decided to fully become a god. Artemis offered to make him immortal, so they could be together forever, but Orion refused to abandon his humanity. As a result, Apollo later tricked Artemis into shooting her own lover down from a distance. Orion died, shot by the goddess who loved him, and after her attempts to revive him failed, Artemis had him ascend to the sky as the famed constellation. As a servant, Orion is well aware that the mecha god floating above him isn't the same Artemis that he loved in proper human history. This machine lacks the love and compassion his Artemis is known for, and yet he wants to settle things with her anyway. Ultimately, he's hesitant, wavering in his conviction, and spends his time idly conversing with one of the machine god Artemis's
Okay, so
terminals.
yeah.
This terminal is
That's
one of many
the,
that
yeah, okay,
Artemis can
Artemis.
dispatch, but finds herself intrigued by Orion, inquiring about her version from proper human history. The last thing I want to bring up before we finally get into the story proper is a mysterious scene in which the world-traveling Musashi.
Oh, Musashi, yeah, I've seen her a lot too in the
chances of survival.
AMVs.
Seeing Musashi isn't all that surprising. She's a mobile singularity, a being capable of traversing various timelines, since her own no longer exists. During these Lost Belts, she's definitely helped us out from a distance. Turns out, though, she's not the only one giving us a hand. This guy in the cloak has been going around calling himself an agent from Chaldea, saving our asses from the shadows. He's not at all hopeful about our odds, but Musashi chooses to confide in our strength and proceeds to Olympus ahead of us. Just who is this cloaked guy? We'll find out soon enough. Again, that was a flying fuck ton of exposition.
Actually, yeah, hold
Let's
up.
go ahead and summarize things.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, wait. So, I guess I'm listen to the summary, and then after that, I'm probably just gonna end the video off there. And yeah, I have been reading that as well as listening to them as well. I just didn't pause it, when they were talking from the game. So yeah, okay, I'll just look at the summary.
Have and always have been,
And then y'all just end it off.
In search of sustainable life.
Okay.
In proper human history, these gods lost their machine bodies when fighting against the White Titan Zephyr. In this Lost Belt, however, the god Zeus used the other gods to defeat Zephyr with their true forms intact. This allowed the Greek machine gods to continue their supreme rule over mankind, effectively preserving the Age of Gods. These gods, the 12 Olympians, fought each other over whether they should do so, and Zeus's faction ultimately won. Those that opposed him were either destroyed or made to serve him. Now that the Age of Gods is still around, Kirstaria is able to bring out his ultimate magecraft, making him the strongest mage alive. Under his leadership, this Lost Belt has grown the largest, prompting the Counterforce to send an army of servants to suppress it. Some of those servants were able to sneak into Olympus, while others stayed behind for when Chaldea shows up. The people of this Lost Belt are blessed by the gods in the form of Clearanomia, nanomachines that grant them strength and longevity. The islands of Atlantis house shrines, which are actually facilities designed to divvy out the various gods' unique nanomachines. If Chaldea wants to reach Olympus in the Lost Belt's fantasy tree, they will first need to deal with Odysseus's ocean fleet, Artemis's orbital laser, and Poseidon, who guards the big hole. We have no idea just how hard this is going to be. All we know is that, after preparations made in earlier chapters, Chaldea's shadow border can now travel through the ocean in Captain Nemo's submarine, the Nautilus. Before we actually travel to Atlantis, Chaldea decides they'll need to give the Nautilus a test drive.
Oh, her name is Nemo?
In a
okay.
rather odd move, though, the main story actually skips past what happens during this test phase, instead just cutting to the Lost Belt proper. We only find out what went down thanks to an event called the Imaginary Scramble.
And then they were, okay.
While I could make this video even
so yeah,
larger
definitely all coming together.
Chronologically, I think it'll be better to give Imaginary Scramble its own video. Just know that it's a separate adventure that begins and ends on its own terms. With that out of the way, we're ready to zero sail into Atlantis.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just stop it right here. So yeah, I'm about good 30 minutes in, so yeah, a little bit more than 20, but yeah, I'm gonna just end it off right here. So yeah, like I said, try and do 3 parts. So I don't know, I might do about 30 minutes the next one, right? Because that'll be an hour long, and then after that, all I got is like what, 12 13 minutes after that. But it's just how whether he actually does another summary or not. But yeah, pretty much, yeah, I kind of, got it down, right? And yeah, I'm guessing, like, yeah, wait, let me see, or go back here. So, yeah, I'm guessing that's the hole right there, that he was talking about, right? Let me see it again. That's, let's see, yeah, right here, yeah, I'm guessing, yeah, that was the hole that was like above them, right? And then basically, yeah, they were below that right there. So yeah, because really, to be honest, yeah, I'll be seeing this a lot, especially, what was it, Nemo was her name, right? Yeah, I see her a lot, and then, yeah, her right here. But yeah, I'll be seeing them a lot, but yeah, I really don't know what they're doing, right? Since it is like a clipper, yeah, like literally 2-second clips or whatever that they're showing in the AMV. And oh, hold on, I think I went a little bit more there, a little bit over. I mean, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, you guys did tell me who this was. Yeah, right here. Yeah, I just wanted to know. I know it's kind of random, right? But I'm like, okay, yeah, who is that, right? But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So yeah, I kind of get the story from here on. But yeah, like I said, the beginning part with all the, what was it, Greek gods, right? Yeah, I knew I had to pay attention to that because yeah, I know there might be some stories where it's like the beginning, like yeah, you can pay attention, but it's not like really important, right? Probably to really pay attention. Because yeah, once you get into like the middle of the story, then you'll just understand everything anyways or something like that. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much about it. Yeah, I think he's new. What was his name? K. Ron, right, or something like that. I think I heard the name before, but not really. Um, and then you got, what was it, Charlie, right? Yeah, I want to know what that is next to her. I mean, yeah, it definitely grew a smile. You know, like literally a whole mouth. I'm like, okay, yeah, what's going on there? Yeah, she did have to, what was it, assassinate, right? But oh yeah, what was his name? Odysseus, right? Odysseus. Yeah, now I know. Basically, well, yeah, what he looks like without the, I guess, well, yeah, the extra armor and then his what was it, helmet, right? Yeah, or well, no, not extra armor. Actually, yeah, in this form, it looks like he's more protected, yeah, than this one right here. But yeah, now I know, yeah, like who it is, right? Um, and then you got Drake and then Jason here. Um, okay, so yeah, pretty good story so far. So yeah, it might be a little still a little bit confusing for me too, right? Because yeah, I think you got them from turning to humans, then after that dying, and then after that turning into like servants or whatever, right? Um, or what was it? Constellations, I think, right? Sagittarius and all that. So yeah, a little confusing because yeah, at first it's like yeah they're this, and then after that they died here. Um, and actually, yeah, just like yeah, let me go back. K-Ron here, right? He said that he basically what was it, shot with the poison or injected with the poison, and basically it was so bad that he literally had to give up his immortality, right, and then just die, right, so he wouldn't feel all that pain or whatever. But then he said like another version of him or something like that. No, he kept his immortality and yeah, it was just a little confusing, right? Because yeah, now I gotta remember like either they died and then did something else after they came back to life or something like that, right? As a servant or whatever, or basically they was doing this or that and then died, something like that, right? But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So yeah, I think the gods that I really need to pay attention to. I don't remember them all, but I think yeah, Poseidon, Zeus, and then yeah, like I said, I remember all of them. But yeah, I think Poseidon. Yeah, I think I need to remember or Poseidon. I mean, yeah, I think I need to pay attention to him the most because yeah, I think they did. Yeah, he did say he protects this right here, right? Um, but yeah, that's pretty much about it. So yeah, good little summary that he had there. Yeah, definitely good summary. Cause yeah, I had to kind of refresh myself there too. Like, okay, yeah, there's some things like I don't know, right? But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So yeah, what did he say? Atlantis, right? So yeah, we're gonna get to that story next. Next video I make. But yeah, that's pretty much about. Oh, this has been almost 40 minutes. I'm recording this. Okay, yeah, probably because of all the pausing and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So I'm really gonna end it right here. So hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.